Hello, chess fans. Welcome to another episode of Chess Chat, a program brought to you live from the Rosedale Bank and Trust studio at Fitchburg Access Television. I am George Marajanian, Program Director of the Wachusett Chess Club at Fitchburg State University. This club, the second oldest chess club in Massachusetts, meets every Wednesday evening in rooms 163 and 165 of the McKay complex at the university. And with me for this 216th episode of Chess Chat is our award-winning director, Darren Dame of Fitchburg, recipient of FATV's very prestigious Boulder Award in 2009, and now in his 20th consecutive year as director of Chess Chat. And assisting Darren in the control room and also on the set with camera work is fellow resident and longtime Wachusett Chess Club member Brian Bigelow, who also prepares our set for Chess Chat for each episode. And sitting across from me is my longtime associate, trusty colleague, my co-host Dave Couture of Northampton, Massachusetts, formerly of Westminster, who is a multifaceted guy in the world of chess. In addition to being a very active chess tournament and match player, he is a tournament director certified by the U.S. Chess Federation, the official governing body for chess in the United States. He's also the creator of the Wachusett Chess Club website. He was the first webmaster of the website. And he is also a very accomplished writer, chess writer. Has written a book on chess tactics, a very appealing, a very informative book on chess tactics. He's also a chess photographer. He's taken many hundreds of photos of chess players, tournament directors, he's taken hundreds of photos, great photos. And again, I want to welcome our viewers to my co-host, Dave Couture, back with us again.
Hello, George.
Good to see you, Dave, always.
Good to see you.
Chess Chat. Well, Dave, just a few weeks ago, actually the third week in June to be precise, there was a major national event held actually in Rosemont, Illinois. And Rosemont is a community in northwest of Chicago, but they held the United States Senior Open in that tournament at Rosemont.
Yeah. And
we're going to report on that tournament because one of this country's top grandmasters, who is now actually a senior, over the age of 50, because it required to be over the age of 50 to compete in this event, international grandmaster Nick deFirmian won the tournament actually at this year's U.S. Senior Open in Rosemont. And he played actually in the top section, it was an open section, and it had 36 players. And there were two sections, but again, he competed in the championship of the open section. And what he did, he scored 4 wins and 2 draws. He's undefeated. And there was an under 1800 section, but we're just going to report actually on the championship itself. Okay, what can we tell our viewers about Nick deFirmian? Well, Nick deFirmian, a grandmaster, he was born actually on July. He's got a birthday coming up, by the way, actually in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, he's going to turn 69 years old on July 26th. He was born in Fresno, California, and he became an international master at the age of 22 in 1979. And then, how many years later? 6 years later, 1985, he became a grandmaster. The World Chess Federation, or International Chess Federation, which is more commonly known by its French acronym, FIDE, FIDE, awarded him the grandmaster title. And by the way, I think I mentioned this. How many times did I mention FIDE? FIDE is the second largest sports organization in the world. Second only to what sports organization in the world?
FIFA.
FIFA, which is the International Association of Football, soccer. So those two are the two biggest sports organizations: soccer, football, international football, and chess is right behind soccer in the world. Okay. But let's get back to Nick deFirmian. Again, I told you he became a grandmaster in '85.
Yep.
He's actually a 3-time U.S. champion. He's competed in the U.S. championship. And I'm going to tell you the years that he won the U.S. championship.
Yep.
The first time was in 1987 in Estes Park, Colorado. But he tied with a fellow grandmaster, Joel Benjamin. I think our director, Darren Dame, has a photo of Nick deFirmian with Joel Benjamin. Yes, there is. There's Nick deFirmian on the left, and then in the white shirt, yes, is Joel Benjamin, who's from New York.
Yeah.
And the last time I saw Joel Benjamin, I'll tell you a story.
Yeah.
It was 1988. It was the U.S. Open in Boston, which, by the way, was the second largest U.S. Open in U.S. Open history. 618 players they had actually in Boston in 1988. And in the last round, I was the chief director of that 1988 U.S. Open. And in the last round, it was a 12-round event over 2 weeks. And in the last round, the pairing was actually Joel Benjamin against Dmitry Gurevich. And that, by the way, that was the last tournament, the US Open. All the pairings were done manually. There was no computer pairings at all. So that was a big field to do manually.
Yeah, 1988, you said?
1988. Yeah, even though computers were doing pairings back then, though. I mean, it was possible. But we said, hey, we'll just continue the old tradition of doing things by hand. Yeah. Okay. But again, I recall posting the pairings in the huge playing hall it was actually the Hotel Lafayette in downtown Boston. And I had a young Joel Benjamin storm up to me, storm up to the chief TD and says, "What's all this? This is outrageous. Why am I getting black in the final round? This is a 12-round event." Yeah. Okay. And I explained to him, I said, well, you're getting black because in a case where only two players have to meet, the players of the same score have to meet, and there's a color conflict. The color is going to go to the player with the higher, the new color is going to the player with the higher ranking. Yeah, he didn't like that at all. No, but he sat down and played the game against Dmitry Gurevich and lost. Yeah. I mean, yeah. And so Dmitry Gurevich became the 1988 U.S. champion. But Joel Benjamin, my encounter with him was actually, he was very upset about getting black in the final round of the 1988 U.S. Open. Okay. But let's get back to Nick deFirmian.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So after Joel Benjamin and Nick deFirmian tied for the U.S. championship in 1987, in 1995 in Modesto, California, Nick deFirmian tied again for the U.S. championship, but he did it with two Massachusetts players.
Oh, really?
Yes, and those two players are players. One of them is no longer active, an active player. One is still very active. The inactive grandmaster that tied with Nick deFirmian in 1995 in Modesto, California, was Patrick Wolf. Okay. Who played a lot of tournaments back actually in the 1980s, late 70s, 80s, in Leominster, also in Fitchburg, in the central.
He was from Western Mass, right?
Yes, actually his father was a professor at UMass Amherst, right? Yes, and he grew up actually in Western Mass, right? I think his mother was also a professor at UMass. Okay. So Patrick Wolf, who flew out, moved to California, but he tied with Nick deFirmian and Alexander Ivanov. And Alexander Ivanov, just actually a few months ago, actually it was 2 months ago, was one of 7 Massachusetts state co-champions in this year's Mass Open, which is the state championship. And Alexander Ivanov, as I pointed out in the last chess chat we did, has won the state championship now 16 times. And he's one championship away from tying the record of what player?
John Curto. John
Curto, who holds the record for the most number of state championship wins, 17. Okay. So, again, getting back to Nick, 17, he tied with Wolf and Ivanov in 1995 for the U.S. championship. But in 1998, Nick deFirmian won the U.S. championship clear in Denver, Colorado. So that was his third
Right.
U.S. championship. But Nick,
Yeah.
he did tie for first in the 2002 U.S. championship.
Yeah.
And that was actually held in Seattle, Washington, but they had a playoff.
Yeah.
So he had to do a playoff actually with Larry Christensen, who, by the way, is a long-time Massachusetts player who lives in Cambridge, Massachusetts, with his wife Natasha Christensen, who was a woman candidate master. So yeah.
Oh,
so
she actually played in the Senior Open, I think.
Yes. Natasha Christensen did play in this year's U.S. Senior Open with Nick deFirmian. Yes, right, she did. Very good. So yeah, Larry Christensen won the playoff, and with it the title. Okay. So, what else can I tell you about Nick deFirmian? First of all, he played in several interzonal tournaments. Can you explain to our viewers what an interzonal tournament? I mean,
that's a heck of a thing to do to me.
Yeah.
Well, it was part of determining who the candidates were for the World Championship back.
Yes.
In the olden times.
In the olden times, they had an event called an interzonal, because the World Chess Federation divided the world into zones.
Yeah.
Certain
like North America.
Like America itself. The United States was a separate zone. Yeah.
Okay.
But you had European countries were broken up into zones. And they had actually, all right, so what they did, they had zonal tournaments. The U.S. had their U.S. championship was a zonal tournament, and the winner of that went and competed in the interzonal, competing against other players who played in their zonal tournaments. And they got together and played an interzonal to find out who would be the challenger, or they had to play actually what they call candidates matches.
Right.
They would have a number of qualifiers in the interzonal who would get together, and they would play off matches to see who would be the challenger to take on the world champion for a world title match. And that's what they did. But Nick deFirmian, as I said, played in several interzonals, but he also played actually 8 times on the U.S. Olympiad team. Now, what is an Olympiad? An Olympiad is an event that the World Chess Federation holds every 2 years. And by the way, this year it's going to be held in Uzbekistan. Actually, it's starting in September 16th, I think, through September 27th. Our own Carissa Yip is playing on the U.S. women's team in this year's Olympiad in Uzbekistan. Yeah, and it's four players to a team this year. Each team they don't call it a men's team. It's called, you have the 2 divisions. You have the open division, which is predominantly men, and then you have a women's division. Those 2 divisions playing in the Olympiad. Yeah. So we're going to watch that closely because we're going to report on that on our chess chat actually in October. Yeah, we'll have a results of that. But getting back to Nick deFirmian, as I told you, he played 8 times in Olympiads. Okay. All right. And again, and our teams did very well. When he played actually in those 8 times, I can tell you the times that the U.S. team with Nick deFirmian on the team. Now, sometimes he played as a reserve player, and sometimes he was one of the four major players on the team. But in 1984, when the Olympiad was held in Thessaloniki, Greece, the U.S. team actually won the bronze medal, 3rd place. Oh, that was pretty good. Yeah. Because you know what team dominated the Olympiad during the 1980s and
Soviet Union, right?
The Soviet Union was dominant. They won every 2 years. They were dominant. But in 1986, the Olympiad was held actually in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, and the U.S. team once again won the bronze medal. Okay, that's good. But in 1988, when it came back to Thessaloniki, Greece, the U.S. team finished out of the middle. They were not among the top 3. Yeah. But in 1990, when the Olympiad was held actually in Novi Sad, which was in Yugoslavia, the U.S. team finished with the silver medal. They came in 2nd place. So that was a great improvement. Yeah. After getting no medal the previous Olympiad.
So here's a question. In 1990, was there a Soviet team or a Russian team?
There was a yes, right. There was
because that's right around when the Soviet Union was.
No, I think the Soviet team was because the Soviet team broke up. Yeah, right. 1990, 91. No, there was a Soviet team, I believe, in 98, which won it. Yeah, yeah. But then after the Soviet Union broke up, okay, now the U.S. team, the Nick deFirmian did not compete on the team again for the U.S. team until 1996. So he didn't play in the 1992 or 1994, but he did come back, play on the team in 1996 in Yerevan, Armenia, and the U.S. team went back to finishing in third place, the bronze medal. Okay, and then 2 years later, in Elista, which is a republic, which was a republic actually in Russia, it still is, the U.S. team actually won the silver medal, so back winning the second place. And the last time that Nick deFirmian played on an Olympiad team for the United States was in the year 2000 in Istanbul, Turkey, and the U.S. team finished out of the medals. Yeah, they didn't do well at all. Okay, now I have time to give you more information about Nick deFirmian because he's like a player. We have time. We have time to do that. Now, what Nick deFirmian is noted for, besides being a 3-time U.S. championship, I don't know whether you have this book. A lot of serious chess players have a book which is called Modern Chess Opening. Right. Have you ever possessed Modern Chess Openings? Yeah. Now this is actually considered a major reference books on chess openings. Yeah? Right. They have produced 15 editions of this book. It actually was first published in early 1900s. Yeah, and Nick deFirmian worked on the 13th, 14th, and 15th editions of Modern Chess Opening. It's considered the Bible.
Right. They used to call it the chess player's Bible, right?
Exactly.
Back in the pre-computer opening database days.
That's right. Yeah. Exactly. So they produced. So I don't know. Again, the last time it was published, I think, was in 2008. So no edition has been published. Yeah. Now with things online, I don't think you'll ever see another edition of Modern Chess Openings. Yeah. But I think all really serious chess players own a copy or edition or a multiple copies of Modern Chess Openings. Yeah. It is considered the Bible. Okay. So Nick deFirmian worked actually on 3 of those editions, 13th, 14th, and 15th. Okay. I would point out actually that Nick deFirmian, what he did in the 1990s, in the early 1990s, he moved to Denmark. He moved because he married a Danish woman. Her first name was Christine. I think her maiden name was Jensen, Christine Jensen. So he moved and lived with his wife actually in Denmark. But eventually came back with his wife to the United States, and he's now currently living again in California, where he grew up. Okay, and his wife actually has an international rating, but she's an expert. She doesn't have a master rating. Christine, but his wife did play on the Danish U.S. Women's Olympiad team, even as young. So his wife actually was good enough to play on that team. Okay. Getting back to Nick deFirmian, because I'm going to end up my wrap-up on Nick. What he did in 1986 in Philadelphia, he won one of the major tournaments in the United States, the World Open. And this is a tournament which has been held annually since the 1970s by the Continental Chess Association, which is headed by the #1 tournament organizer in the United States, Bill Goichberg. Yeah. And you know actually what his prize was? This was a record, by the way, for a first prize. How about you think actually it'd be hard to...
I'm going to guess around 20,000.
Outstanding. 20, how would you know that? That's what, you have intuition. It was 21,000. And that at the time was a record for a Swiss system tournament.
That was what, 86?
That was in 1986. 21,000. A first prize at the World Open was the record back then. Yeah. So I have to applaud you for coming up with 20,000. I really great. Yeah, great. And one last thing before I end up on Nick deFirmian, he did actually graduate from the University of California, Berkeley, and has a Bachelor of Science degree in physics, but never went forth and did anything with his physics degree. However, he has something in common with somebody who is now currently playing at the Wachusett Chess Club. Can you think of a player at the Wachusett Chess Club who became a professor with a PhD in physics, who is now a former Wachusett Chess Club champion from the 1980s, who actually...
You're going to have to remind me because I haven't seen him in a while.
All right.
I know who it is.
Okay. Tom Wiedemann.
Yes.
Tom Wiedemann, who is now currently back playing at the Wachusett. During the summer, he comes back.
That's right. We had him as a guest once, right?
Yes, we had Tom Wiedemann on. Yes. And Tom Wiedemann, who graduated from St. Bernard's High School in Fitchburg, grew up in Leominster. He lived in Leominster, but graduated from St. Bernard's in Fitchburg. He went on to teach. He taught actually the University of California at Davis. That's where he taught physics.
Isn't he still teaching?
No, he's ready to retire.
Oh, he is retired.
He's ready to retire, and he has bought a house in Spencer, Massachusetts. He's coming back to live in the Commonwealth. Yes, right. Okay, but let's get back to the U.S. Senior Open, because we have selected a game that I think our Chess Chat fans are really going to enjoy.
It's a wild game.
It's a wild game. It's a game you and I have never seen the likes of this ever before. This was played in round 6, not on the U.S. Senior Open. We have selected a game that actually Nick deFirmian played actually in 1990 in the Manila Interzonal in the Philippines against one of Britain's top players, Grandmaster Tony Miles.
Right.
Okay. And this is a game we picked out. We picked it out because this game won a brilliancy prize. This actually is a brilliant game. Yeah. The judges judged this, but when did the judgment came? It came actually after this tournament. Came actually later. After, yeah. It wasn't actually immediately after the game was played. They they made the decision sometime after the game. But we're going to present it right now to our viewers. And Tony Miles actually had white in this game against.
Yeah, I'll just. I have a couple quotes.
Oh yes.
He mentions this in a couple interviews. One interview was from Kingpin magazine.
All right.
They asked him what is his most memorable game. He said in 1990, I won the Brilliancy Prize in the Interzonal in the game against Tony Miles. He said this is important too. He said we were both in horrific time pressure at the end. Fortunately for me, there was a checkmate before I lost on time. So. Right. Keep that in mind because it's a very complex game.
It is.
So it's easy to imagine that they were both taking a ton of time and they both got into time pressure.
Right.
And then there was an interview with the U.S. Chess Trust. Again, they asked the most memorable game. He said this one.
Right.
And he also said he said, I like games with lots of sacrifices and action, like the player that inspired me when I was a teenager, Mikhail Tal.
Right. Who won the World Championship in 1960.
Was an inspiration to lots of chess players.
He was. To me, also. I was impressed by the play of Mikhail Tal, who was as far as tactics, it was great. Yeah.
It'd be like being a basketball player and you want to play like Michael Jordan, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, and Mikhail Tal was the epitome of who you wanted to play like. So.
And by the way, in 1988, when that U.S. Open was held actually in Boston in August of '88, in March 1988, Mikhail Tal came to Massachusetts and performed a simultaneous exhibition at the Boston Chess Club in Boston.
Wild.
So yes, so that was a memorable year, 1988, for both Tal coming and the U.S. Open in Boston. Okay.
All right.
So are you ready to start the game?
We are ready.
With Tony Miles to make his first move, round 6 against Nick deFirmian.
And he opened with d4.
Okay, a good opening move.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. In response to that, what Nick deFirmian played was developing the knight f6. Knight f6, which now controls the e4 square, stops white from playing that move. Okay, what does Tony Miles play now?
Play c4. Again, the most standard move.
It is, right, exactly. Not the only move, but
not the only move, but it helps to control the center, and now he's able to
bring the knight
out behind it.
Behind it, okay. All right. So now what Nick did, he played the pawn on e7 to e6. He just played this move e6, which now opens up for this dark squared bishop to come out. Okay.
Yep.
All right. It is now Tony's third move. And what does he do?
And again, the most common move in this position, knight to c3, developing the knight.
Now, what is it? Is there a threat now? There's white now threatening.
And now there's a threat to actually...
That knight on c3 supports the advance of the pawn to e4.
Completely take over the center.
Okay. So how does black stop that? Black does not want that pawn on e2 to move to e4.
Yep.
So one way to stop it is what Nick did. He plays the bishop to b4, pins the knight, and actually will stop the pawn from advancing to e4 for one thing.
Right.
Okay. But do we have a name now for what is now played? We've played 3 moves.
Yep.
Is now there a name for this opening or defense? It's a defense that black is playing here. What is this called?
The Nimzo Indian.
Yeah, this is known as the Nimzo Indian defense, which is named after a player, one of the truly great players from the early 20th century, from the 1920s and 30s. His name was Aaron Nimzowitsch. Now, a lot of players I know growing up would call him Nimzowitsch. He was called Nimzowitsch.
That's what I've always said.
But actually, his name was Nimzowitsch. And he was born in Riga, Latvia, in 1886, in Riga, Latvia. He was Jewish. He had Jewish parents. He spoke Yiddish at home. He learned Finnish, as well as Latvian, because he was born in Riga, Latvia. So he moved actually to Denmark, similar to Nick deFirmian. Nick deFirmian moved to Denmark, I think it was in the early 1990s, to live with his wife, Christine. Aaron Nimzowitsch moved to Denmark, where he died at the age of 38, by the way, in 1935. As I say, he moved to Denmark. That's where he lived the rest of his life. He lived in a small apartment in Denmark. I think he died poor, really. But Nimzowitsch actually was a player ahead of his times. In fact, he is known, there's a famous work, or famous book that he wrote called My System. Every serious chess player I know has a copy of that book, My System, by Aaron Nimzowitsch, And he also wrote another book called Chess Praxis, another great book, But he was considered a hypermodernist. He was considered a hypermodern chess player. And he was a great theoretician. He contributed a lot to opening theory, and he developed this defense, the so-called Nimzo Indian defense. Okay, so after bishop e4, are there choices now for white?
Lots of choices.
What are the choices now for move 4 for white in this position?
There must be at least half a dozen.
Can you give our viewers now what some of the choices are?
Some of them are just like e3 to...
Yes. Now, what are the drawbacks? No, this is a good move.
Right, but it blocks in that bishop.
The drawback, it does shut in that dark square bishop. But it's still a playable move, e3.
Yep.
Okay, what else is available? What else is possible?
I think it's even possible to just not even worry about that and just go ahead and develop a knight.
Right. Okay.
You can put the question to the bishop.
Now, putting the question to the bishop like this on with a3, attacking the bishop, this became very popular. It was popularized by a German player named Friedrich Zamisch, or Fritz.
Yeah.
His nickname was Fritz, for Zamisch, Friedrich. And this is known as the Zamisch. Very German player, and is also very popular among players who play against the Nimzo Indian defense. But what Tony Miles played was neither a3 or knight f3 or e3. What did he play?
Plays queen to c2.
Yes.
So that way, if the knight gets captured, you can recapture with the queen and not
have double pawns. Okay, right, exactly. And this is known as the classical variation by playing the queen to c2. Okay, so after queen c2, what Nick did, he played the pawn to c5. So now he comes here and attacks this pawn on d4. Okay, so he's actually threatening now to take that pawn here. All right, so it is now Tony's move here, move 5. What does he do?
So he captures the pawn on c5.
Okay, we're going to see that on the screen. D takes c5 is his move.
Yeah.
Okay. And of course, it'd be really stupid to actually have the bishop come back and take the pawn on c5. The idea was to maintain this pin on this knight, all right? And so what Nick did was play knight a6. He plays knight a6. Now we have two pieces attacking the pawn on c5. Right.
And I will say, so I printed out
you have some analysis.
The analysis from Chess Life in December 1990.
Okay, right after the interzonal was played.
After the interzonal, and the comment on
this. There was a comment on this?
Yeah, he says, this move long out of favor owing to White's manifest positional advantages.
Yes.
Caught Grandmaster Zinzikashvili's eye earlier this year when he was looking over some routine analyses of the variations. Zinzi realized that Black's lead in development and the resulting variations could be better exploited to gain counterplay. And it says, after months of analysis with Christensen, Fedorowicz, and deFirmian, ideas that surfaced in the Ivanchuk deFirmian and Miles deFirmian games were developed. So, so this actually was played. It was actually, he played it like a few rounds before against Ivanchuk.
From Ukraine. Vasily Ivanchuk was a Ukrainian grandmaster.
So this has already been played in this interzonal.
So previously, before Tony Miles played against deFirmian, actually, he played
against Ivanchuk.
Vasily Ivanchuk.
Yeah.
From an earlier round from the interzonal. Okay, so how did Tony respond? So he attacks the
he now puts the
A3.
question.
Yeah. Okay. So after A3, so now what he does, he takes the knight. Bishop takes C3, check. Okay. And of course, White is not going to take with the pawn and be saddled with triple pawns.
Triple pawns, that would be horrible.
That would be horrendous to take with the pawn. So the only move is queen takes C3. Okay. So that was actually Tony's move. All right. So now this allows actually Nick now to capture the pawn on c5 with the knight. Knight takes c5. Okay. All right. So when you look at this position now, Black has two minor pieces developed, and actually White has spent the whole time with one piece developed. Of course, the piece has been traded off here.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So it is now White's move, Tony's move. Okay.
So this is a bit of a turning point here because earlier in the game against Ivanchuk played b4 here to kick the knight.
Ivanchuk in the early game against
in the interzonal against deFirmian.
Yeah.
So but here
Tony plays
f3, which is generally that's not a move you see typically.
No, it's depriving that knight of the f3 square for one thing.
Yeah.
That development there. But it also prepares the pawn to move to e4.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
So it's kind of an ugly-looking move, but you have to know when to break the general rules and.
Right. Well, again, Nick doesn't want White to carry out e4 here. Yep. So what Nick does in response is to play the pawn to d5. So that's his move. All right. Right. So yeah, that's a good move. D5 in response to f3. All right. It is now Tony's ninth move.
So he's basically making a sacrifice here.
Yes. Yeah, right. There is a
D5 is described as a sacrifice for a large lead in development. And it does say in the comment here that the complications resulting from this are enormous, which I agree. This is going to be super complicated.
Okay, all right. So we'll have to
So he does take the sacrifice pawn. So he's taking the pawn and hitting.
Attacking the knight
at the same time.
Oh wow! So this is actually it's going to cost Black a pawn here.
A pawn
because he has to save that knight.
Right. Yep.
All right. So to save that knight, what Nick did was play the pawn to b6. So b6 is played to save the knight.
Yep.
But now it doesn't make any sense, although it's possible. It would win a pawn by just simply the d pawn takes e6. But no, there's no reason to do that for White.
Yeah.
What Tony did instead was actually, didn't he attack that knight?
Kick the knight.
b4.
B4.
All right. So that's forcing that knight to move. Yep. Okay. Where is that knight moving to? I don't think it's not going to move back to any of these squares. It's certainly not going to move back here because that would now allow a capture on e6 with the pawn.
Yep.
So what Nick does, he plays the knight to a4 and attacks the queen on c3. All right. So that's forcing now that queen to move.
Yep.
All right. So what does Tony Miles do now on his 11th move?
So queen to b3.
Aha! Attacks the
Hitting
knight.
the knight.
All right. Now, the knight cannot move, so that knight has to be defended.
Yeah.
Okay. And the way that Nick defends that pawn is to play the pawn to b5, which now protects that knight on a4. Okay. All right. So now, what does Tony do on his 12th move? Or is there any note or
No,
all right.
just e4 is a pretty straightforward move.
Yeah. However, we have a threat now. What's White's threat now? By playing e4, we have now a threat of actually bishop takes b5 check.
Right.
Yeah. We can't allow that because this would also lose the knight here.
Yeah.
All right. So after e4, this pawn on b5 has to be protected. So Nick has to play a6, and that's what he did. All right. All right. So now we're going to continue with Tony's 13th move. How does he continue here?
Yeah. So he needs to develop the knight, and since the usual square is,
right. He's deprived of the f3 square.
He's going to bring it to e2.
All right. So he's developed that. All right. So it is now Nick's turn. He now castles. Right.
Yep.
Good. Put the king in a safe place here on the castle position. All right. So Tony's next move. What does he do? He's got to develop pieces here.
So he's going to develop the bishop to g5.
Ooh, and does he have a threat?
Pinning the knight and
threatening to advance to e5.
Threatening to push the pawn.
Yeah, and certainly Nick cannot allow that the pawn. So what he does, he's got to attack that bishop on g5 right away.
Yep.
And White has to make a decision. Does he retreat the bishop or does he take the knight? Those are the only two choices here.
Yeah.
Retreat or capture. And what does Tony decide?
So he retreats to h4 and
maintaining the pin on the knight.
Maintaining the pin, and there's a comment here.
Yes, there is a comment.
It says, to all appearances, White has countered the sacrifice effectively.
Okay.
He threatens to solidify his central position by rook to d1.
Right. Oh, yes.
While Black has no way to improve his position.
All right.
And the comment is certainly not e takes d5 to be followed by e5, right?
No. Right.
So
yeah.
So go ahead.
So after the bishop makes so he has to take.
So he does to do it.
So he does it.
Sacrifices the knight.
So yeah. So he actually he takes d5. Right?
Yeah.
That's right. So he takes d5.
So that sort of looks insane, right?
It does.
It's like
because now it allows.
Because now.
Yeah. So now Tony White
he gets to do
plays e5. This is now going to cost him.
So there's one.
Yeah.
One brilliant move already is
right.
It's like it seems like there's no way you could do that, but he did it.
But he did it.
He sacrificed the knight.
Right. It's the e5. Okay. All right. So Nick. All right. Now, in response to this, e5 plays the rook from f8 over to e8. So he's actually now on. He'll be on this this file,
same file,
which is going to be an open file. It's going to be very
right.
Yeah.
And and the thing is, the king is still not castled, and it can't castle anytime soon.
Yeah. But what Tony did here or didn't do, he did not take this. He did not take that knight with the pawn. Yeah. And there's no analysis.
Well, there is some analysis.
Yeah. It's complicated.
It's very complicated. It might have been the prudent thing to do.
Right. He could have done it. Tony could have actually.
He certainly could have gotten away, maybe.
Right. Maybe.
With it. It's hard to say.
But instead of actually taking this knight, e takes f6, he chose to defend that pawn on e5 with what? Yeah.
By pushing to f4.
F4.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's attacking now. So now he has now he definitely can take now. But here's what actually Nick did in response to f4. He counterattacked it by playing the pawn to g5. So now he's actually attacking the bishop on h4. All right. Okay, this is wild.
All these moves seem crazy because it seems like. So it seems like you could just win the pawn here.
Yeah, it does.
Still be pinning the knight. Still win the knight.
This is an unbelievable position. When you and I looked at this, we said this is unbelievable. All right. So what did Tony do in response to g5? He did not take F takes G5 in response.
Yeah. If he had,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
hard. It's hard to
Which he
analyze.
could have done. Which he could have done.
He could have played.
Yeah.
He could have played this, and
Oh yes, that's right.
And the response is
That's true.
that black would have done this.
Right. Yeah. So
It gets very hairy.
yeah.
So instead,
so this is definitely a complicated
it's
position.
very complicated.
All right.
Yeah.
So what Tony did was retreat the bishop to F2. All right. But now is definitely threatening to win that knight with E takes F6.
So now he does move it to E4. Yeah.
Okay, so this is so now he does move that knight, which is under attack.
Yeah.
He plays it now knight E4. So all right, so Nick was able to save his knight only because Tony chose not to take the knight on F6 with the E pawn.
Because he couldn't evaluate all the complications that resulted.
Too complicated, right? All right, so what did Tony bishop D4 he played? Okay.
Yep.
All right. So here is where Nick continues. He has to continue with development here. Bishop to E6. All right. So now he has another defense of the pawn on D5 after playing bishop E6.
And the comment here is that he's just preparing to slide this rook over.
Right, and bring it up here.
And then down.
All right. Exactly. All right. Okay. All right. So it is now. Okay, whose move is it now?
So it's White's move.
Okay.
20th move.
All right, okay. Oh, so now this is very interesting.
Queen F3, so he's bringing the queen over to
here to the king side. Maybe go to the H5 to attack the pawn on H6.
Yep.
All right. So after Queen F3, well, Black in response to that plays this rook on A8 to C8. So he's gone to
wants to bring it down to C4. Yeah.
Yes, he'd love to come there. Yeah, C4. Yeah. Okay, good place to be. All right, it is now White's move, Tony's move. On move 21, what does Tony do now? Ooh, does he attack?
Yeah, against it's super complicated. And one of the possibilities that's mentioned is he could have done this
try to open up the A file.
Try to open up the H file.
Oh, if that A file opened up, that would be very dangerous for Black. Yeah, allowing that queen to get on the H file with the rook. All right, but he could have done that, but instead
he goes after the bishop.
Right, with F5, forcing that, and the bishop only has one move to save itself, and that is bishop D7. All right, so we're going to bring the bishop back. Okay. All right, so the bishop is on D7. All right, so now what does Tony Miles do?
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna show this move and then leave the diagram up on the screen for a little bit. So knight to G3.
Yeah. Which actually does now open up now for the light squared bishop.
All right, now we're going to leave that on the screen.
Let's see. We got the position on the screen.
There's one winning move for Black here. And if you're watching this and it's not live and you can pause it for 5 minutes, then maybe you can find the move that deFirmian played, because it's the only move to win here.
Again, this is the analysis that was done. There was only one move.
I mean, this is kind of crazy.
And for our Chess Chat viewers, I mean, there are those who are watching this live streaming right now. But again, this program will be available on video on demand anytime, all the time. So anybody who would go on video on demand after our live program, they could pause it and spend more time thinking what to do in this position.
So,
all right, have we given our viewers enough time?
Probably not, but
because remember, this is move. Now this is actually move 22. 22. The players actually are working toward extreme time pressure. I don't know at what point the pressure becomes really extreme. But again, so I think the time has run out for our viewers. What was the move? Okay, after actually knight G3 that was played by Tony Miles. Here is what Nick deFirmian played, which surprised you, surprised me, and surprised a lot of other players who went over this game. Nick deFirmian played rook takes the pawn on E5. Can you imagine playing that move, rook takes E5? Because, wait a minute, he's taking a pawn which allows this bishop to capture it that didn't. But that didn't happen.
Yeah.
That didn't happen, right? Okay, exactly.
Yeah. We could let's just try showing quick a line. Let's hold on to these pieces. But if he takes,
yes, if he takes bishop, if Tony
says, then queen to e7.
Queen e7. Oh yeah, attack, which attacks the.
Right.
Oh yes, right.
And then if he takes this knight, then the queen takes here.
Yes, the queen takes here, and now we've got to now we're threatening threatening to win that knight. Yeah.
Threatening to win that knight, and there's all kinds of pressure on this. This king's still sitting in the center of the board.
And if the bishop comes to play the d3 to defend the knight, can the knight go here?
Well, this rook is also being attacked at the moment.
This is the base.
There's so much going on.
Oh yeah. This is going to win material here.
So
yes, right.
So because of that, he does not go for that.
All right. So the queen is back here. Oh, I'm sorry. I better put that. I have to scoot back. As long as I don't lose the mic. This queen is here.
Queen's there, and you got the bishop.
And the bishop is on d4.
It's right there. So
all right. So after rook takes e5,
he saw that and decides.
So he's not going to take the rook. Well,
yeah.
All right. Instead, he plays.
He's very concerned about this.
The pin.
The pin. I mean, because now this knight moves and he's in check, and
yeah, he doesn't want that queen to go e7.
So,
all right.
Bishop to e2. So
bishop e2. All right. So what Nick does, he plays the queen to e8 right here.
So just piling up on that.
Oh yeah, he's got the queen and the rook piled up on the file here. Okay. All right. It is now Tony's move. What does it's move 24 for Nick for Tony Miles.
So he plays knight h5, and the comment here is that this is bad, but white is at a loss for a decent move right now.
Okay. All right. Okay. So here is Now here is what the Nick deFirmian did. He plays now. He can play rook takes f5, the pawn f5, because the bishop is defending it, and the rook attacks the queen.
Yep.
Okay, so this is going to force the queen to move. Has to save itself.
Queen e3.
And moves the queen to e3. Okay, but now we can. This is another interesting move by Nick.
It's amazing.
This is another amazing move.
This is why I won the Brilliancy Prize.
I can understand why this won a brilliant. Here is what Nick deFirmian played in this position. He played the rook on c8, dash c3, attacking the queen. But of course,
the king just be captured.
But the bishop could capture that rook.
Which in fact he does.
He took bishop. So Tony captured the rook on c3 with the bishop, which allows now Nick to capture that bishop with knight on A to take c3, okay? And what's happening here? Hold it. All right. All right, so now it is now...
The comment on this move is, he says, again, not threatening so much as leaving white without a move.
Okay. Well, okay, all right.
So I mean, just look, the king can't move anywhere.
No.
All the squares are covered.
Right, exactly.
The king can't even move.
The rook controls the F file. Yes, right. So the king has no move. The king can't move, and he really has. And by the way, you can't cast. You never can cast it through check. That's illegal.
Right.
Yeah, that's the other thing you can't do. All right.
So he's got.
So what does Tony do in response to this?
Gives it his best try. Bishop to g4.
Yes, he wants to at least, if he can get rid of that rook. Well, yeah. I mean, that's not going to happen. Would allow him to at least.
But again.
Yeah. After bishop
deFirmian's going to ignore that.
Yeah, what Nick does, deFirmian now in response to that, plays the pawn to d4, and of course nothing's defending that.
Nothing's defending
that pawn that's moved to d4, which is attacking the queen. Okay, so doesn't that allow Tony to capture the pawn on d4?
It does, but then we're going to see what happens.
So after queen takes d4, now what this allows is actually a discovered check by Nick deFirmian by playing knight c5 back here. Queen now attacks the king. It's a discovered check. Okay. Now
he's only got.
Okay. We have time. So the king has to move.
Well, I guess he could.
Or could he block?
He could block and get checkmated.
Yeah, right. Right. That's right.
So the only move he's got is king d2.
King d2. All right.
Stuck in the middle of the board.
All right. Oh, well, after king d2, his only move. Okay, really. So this allows Nick to say, okay, wait, look at this. Knight b3, check, forking the king and the queen.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what he did. All right, so this now forces Tony to capture the king. King takes c3, and of course, Nick, in response to that, is going to capture the queen.
Yeah.
Knight takes d4, okay, and that was his move. All right, and what does actually Tony do now? It's his move, right? His 31st move.
Captures
so
the
he
rook.
captured that. All right, so are we going too fast actually for Darren? Okay, Bishop. All right, so it's now Tony's 31st move coming up. He already did it.
We're up to date. Yeah.
All right, so Bishop takes f5 was played. We just saw the move played by Tony. This is what actually now. Nick is not going to capture this Bishop takes c4. Instead, he's got a stronger move.
Yeah.
His stronger move is playing Queen to e3, check.
Yep.
All right. So after Queen e3 check, now instead of moving the king like to the only move I see here is to b2, he brings, he saves his bishop, which is actually undefended. He brings it back and blocks the check with bishop d3. Okay. But of course, by blocking the check with bishop d3, this allows Nick deFirmian to play bishop f5, which now the bishop is pinned. Now he's trying to take that bishop.
Twice, yeah.
Attack twice. Okay. So that means that bishop has to be defended. And so Tony brings the rook from the A file over to D1. Do we see that on our screen?
Defended a second time.
Okay. All right. It is now Nick's turn. What does he do? What he does is he checks the king with knight e2. Because of that pin, he can play knight e2 check, forcing the king now to move. And where does the king go? Yeah. And he still wants to stick around here because with the rook and the king, they're still defending. He's got a double attack on this bishop, but by playing the king to c2, he's still defending here on the bishop. All right. King is on c2. So how is Nick going to continue this? All right. So what he does, another strong move by Nick. He played.
Because he doesn't put him in check. He doesn't capture anything.
No, he doesn't do anything like that. What he does, he plays the rook back here.
The queen.
The queen. He plays the queen back to e5 because there is a threat of actually this square right here. This is a major threat here. Queen c3 check. All right. And of course he can't take the knight because he's pinned here. He could take the bishop here, but instead after Queen e5, which it is now Tony Miles' 35th move. What does he do? It's a move 35, right? Yeah. All right. 35. So what he does is say, wait a minute. I've got to stop. I got to try to escape. I got to try to maybe escape through get to D2, maybe to E1. Try to escape, but this doesn't look too promising. So this escape route.
King D2.
King D2. Oh, and what Nick deFirmian does, he doesn't play. He doesn't play here because he's losing the knight there. Instead, he plays Queen B2, checks the king, but this also is going to be able to protect that knight at the same time. So the king now has to move, okay, because he cannot move blocking with the bishop because the queen just simply the bishop check, and the king would have to move actually to so he moves to E3, right? Okay. So that was actually move 36 by Tony Miles. And here is what Nick deFirmian played. He plays bishop to G4. Okay. So he's
now he's hitting that knight.
Now he's attacking the knight.
He's hitting the knight.
He has another defender on the knight on E2 with the queen there. So after bishop G4, what Tony Miles played. What did he play?
Interesting. So again, we have to keep in mind that they're
both. This is extreme time pressure.
Time pressure.
This is move 37 coming up. They've got to be both.
There's probably a lot of clock slamming going on.
And by the way, back then they weren't playing with digital clocks.
Right.
These were clocks with flags.
Right.
They would drop. Would drop.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can imagine, and of course, when you watch an analog clock with a flag, you really don't know.
You're not quite sure.
You don't know actually how many seconds you have actually on an analog clock with a flag. So you're playing your moves blitz fast.
Right.
And that's what both of them were. They're both
So back in the day, there was a lot of you'd lean over to
Yes.
look at the clock face on to try and
you would have
see
no
if you
idea
could
exactly.
to try and figure out, like,
No.
do I have a minute? Do I have 30 seconds?
That's why you don't see any analog clocks played anymore in chess tournaments. Yeah.
So anyway, in time pressure.
Right. So
the thing is, right now,
right.
basically what he does is he's going to take away a free square from his king.
Yes,
play
right.
rook to d2.
Right. Okay, and after he played rook d2, with probably nanoseconds left on his clock, Nick deFirmian delivered something which is rare in Grandmaster chess.
Yep.
He checkmated Tony Miles with queen d4, ending the game.
Yep.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And
Yeah, I can imagine.
Before the rook was there, he could have done that, but now he.
Yeah, right. By blocking,
he smothered
by
his
his
own
blocking
king.
with the rook, he actually deprived himself of that escape square.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was quite a game. Awarded a brilliancy prize at the 1990 Manila Interzonal. I mean, it was quite a game.
I would love to hear from like deFirmian to know like how much of this did he see and how much was speculation and taking a chance and.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Because it's hard to believe that he could have made these sacrifices knowing for sure that it was going to work.
Right.
It was too complex.
Right. Now, as I pointed out, this Interzonal, the 1990 Interzonal in Manila, had 64 players. Now, our Chess Chat fans, if they wanted to see actually who all the participants were, they could actually go Google 1990 Manila Interzonal.
Sure. Yep.
And they would be able to get actually not only the cross table, but actually a great selection of games from the Interzonal are actually online. Yeah,
It surprised me if they were all available.
and it actually is one of the strongest Interzonals ever played. Yeah, had multiple former world champions.
Right.
Yeah, so I would recommend to our viewers that they actually check if they're more interested in that Interzonal. To Google actually the 1990 Middle Interzonal. Now, I want to bring to our Chess Chat fans attention that for our next Chess Chat, our next episode, our 217th, we are going to do a tribute to actually one of the outstanding chess tournament organizers in Massachusetts, who passed away just a week ago, on July 6th. Today, okay, we're doing this program on July 13th. Yeah. On July 6th, Stephen Dan, who was actually an amazing guy. I mean, he was not only an organizer, he was a player. He was a chess player. He was a solid Class B player, rated in the 1700s. But he was more noted for his organizational work, his history. He knew more about the chess history in Massachusetts and also in New England. But one of the things that he's acclaimed for is for his journalism. He was a noted chess journalist. He was the chess journalist for the Worcester Telegram Gazette for 39 years.
That's amazing.
From 1975 to 2014, a phenomenal record. So just letting our Chess Chat fans know that we'll be doing a tribute to Stephen Dan, who again passed away at the age of 74. He actually would have turned 75 next month, August 25th. Yeah, but again, he did more for chess. He's a multi-time Massachusetts Chess Association president of the New England Chess Association. So we just want to let our fans stay tuned for our August Chess Chat. We're going to bring you a lot about one of the truly great organizers of chess in Massachusetts. So we hope our fans like the game we presented to them on this 216th episode of Chess Chat. Stay tuned for our next episode. I think you'll enjoy it.